Freedom. Is it heading out for an early morning jog? Shutting the laptop at 5 p.m? Or does it look something like this? As sailors in this part of the world, we are constantly surrounded by paradise. Crystal clear waters, vibrant green palm trees, and crisp white sand can be found in every anchorage. However, for us, freedom is the privilege to move, to lift anchor and set off to find a new undiscovered island. But sometimes that freedom is taken away from us. Something as simple as a storm can leave us imprisoned in the very places that we set out to find. Earlier this week, we and every other sailor in the area fled to the southeast corner of Fakarava to hide from the infamous Maraamu, a south wind that will bring 50 knots ripping over the reef. Our hope is that this tiny speck of coral and a few palm trees are enough to protect us from the force 10 storm that's heading our way.
All right, we have been trapped on board for a couple of days now, being a little bit stir crazy. It's laundry day, as you can see. The entire cockpit looks like a Bangkok laundrette. So we've decided that it is time to get off the boat, go explore, and basically, because we're so sheltered in here, we actually don't know what the weather's doing outside the lagoon. So we're gonna go and attempt to get to the outside of the lagoon and see what's happening out there and just get a sense of when we might be able to move.
But check out how fast this is. We have now finished installing our new electric winch for the dinghy. For a little while, we were having to manually lift it and crank it up and down, which was becoming a bit of a faff. But now, one push of a button and it just goes, dropping it is, not so hard, but still fun.
For those who've been watching, and I think we did explain this years ago, but when we have it up on the davits, we actually use these little locking lines so that it's not resting on the winch. It's actually just resting on static lines. But raising and lowering it, it's just like, it can be easier.
And this new one is so quiet.
Well, we can talk.
Yeah.
So let's do this. On stormy days like this, it is kind of fun to make things slightly trickier. So I'm just going to wobble the dinghy nicely.
No!
Should have gone in the drink.
But she didn't.
Yeah, but you did unclip us and I'm not too sure the outboard's going to start.
Did you remember the key?
We remembered the key.
It's like we're winning.
Is it going to start though? First time.
So this weather system has been moving in this weekend and literally every boat in the entire atoll has all descended here because it is the most sheltered part of anywhere. So it's been crazy windy, but weirdly still. We're seeing like 30 to 35 knots on the boat, but because we're tucked right in behind this little island, then the water is actually pretty flat. We're getting splashed now, of course, but it's not nearly as rolly as I would have expected, and we have like bright blue skies and sunshine. So it doesn't feel stormy. I thought we were going to be like storm bound on the boat, can't do anything, but actually it feels quite nice and sunny.
Relaxed. I mean, it's kind of weird because we're thinking we're storm bound, but actually we're getting lots of stuff done on the boat. We're able to walk around. This kid keeps charging at us with the dinghy while they're doing some wakeboarding.
A lot of people are out here kite surfing, so it's good weather for that, I guess.
Yeah, we definitely need to get ourselves a kiteboard and figure out how to do that and add a wakeboard to our list. And
it looks a lot of fun.
I want all the toys.
It's always fun trying to like time it right to get the anchor in the right place.
So difficult because it's also dependent on the depth. So
beautiful throw.
If we're in like deep water, we don't get as much of a range to the shore, whereas if it's super shallow,
true.
The trigonometry works different.
Can we land perfectly on the shore? I don't want to get my toes wet today, okay?
I might be redoing this.
I haven't even tied the line on yet. I'm not prepared at all. Not bad.
We'll go again. One more time. This is about perfection today.
So I know we've shown this system before, but we've just met a few more people here who were like ordering in dinghy wheels because their dinghy was too heavy to drag up onto the beach. And we were like, this bungee stern anchor system is brilliant. It takes a little bit of getting used to judge the distance, but It just works every time. And then Link
Every
sits
second time.
every second time. But no, like, we can always retrieve it, and he always sits so beautifully and avoids the swell, and it means we don't have to beach and we're not like doing heavy lifting. Everybody should have this system until you snap the line.
Then you need a replacement bungee cord, that's all. It secures the dinghy, it's just then you need a bungee cord.
Yeah, it just doesn't stretch. Okay, we're almost there. Not bad at all.
Beached.
Oh, perfect. And there we are.
I got ridiculed the other day because, well, you made up this nice little tiller cover for us to stop the sunshine making the handle too hot.
At your request. I don't want people thinking this was my idea.
I'm a delicate individual.
Don't want to burn those fingers on the handle.
Exactly, it's soft hand.
Can you bring the big red line out because I forgot to tie it on?
Got it.
And my shoes, please.
And anything else? What are your last slave dial?
Can I have an ice cream?
Bit close, gonna get wet. I'm just gonna say, if Captain Cook had known about a bungee line, he'd have probably lasted a bit longer, wouldn't he?
When was elastic invented? Could he have had it? Probs not.
It would probably be like the internals of a whale's intestines or something, I don't know. They were big on eating whales, weren't they? They're not eating, burning. They're big on burning whales.
It's not much better. I just can't get over that, like, this is supposed to be our storm day. 35 knot winds and a couple of palm trees are the only thing protecting us. But we come to the beach and it's like, perfect, calm, flat lagoon, sunny day at the beach. Yes, I'll take it. Thank you.
Little black tip reef shark.
Hey,
Coming
buddy.
in for the kill.
Yeah, my toes are in the water. If we splash, will he come closer?
It's possible. He's got a little cleaning wrast on him too.
It's like a little baby one.
Aww.
Too sunny. I can't really see through the camera to even see if he shows up. Just about. There you go. We've got guide dogs on the beach and guide sharks in the water. It's a heavily protected area.
Do the sharks have lasers?
I have one simple request, and that is to have sharks with frickin' laser beams attached to their heads.
You're going to go catch a shark and install a laser on it now, aren't you?
Can we install a laser on a shark? I can build a laser.
Does that mean I have to catch the shark?
So it's kind of strange because this anchorage is fairly remote. It's right at the bottom of the atoll, and it looks like it should be kind of like we're used to, where just a beach, just beautiful water, and probably just one or two boats. I think on last count there was 55?
55 we counted.
55 boats are here.
It's like the busiest place we've been in months.
Exactly. Apparently here it does get quite busy because there's a little kite surfing school, and this is quite well placed for kite surfing. There's a big barrier of sand that creates a nice flat bit of water, as we've been experiencing. However, this is pretty much at the max. This is as many boats as I think they ever see down here, because the whole of the atoll and actually a couple of the neighboring atolls have kind of emptied out to come here for shelter. So everybody you see here, some old friends, a couple other YouTube channels, and us, we're all basically hiding out to let the weather pass. And this anchorage is just kind of, bulging at the seams. So
there's going to be like a mass exodus next week as well. Once the wind dies down, we're going to have like 6 days of mayhem. And then everyone's just going to scatter back to, let's find our own little slice of heaven. Where we don't have to talk to people.
Yeah, so we're certainly not used to anchorages this busy. And at times it has looked like a car park on the beach with all the dinghies. However, it's also kind of nice because it's a chance for us to meet other cruisers, hear more stories, and get some ideas, which has been good too. So yeah, every cloud, all that.
Sand is getting a little bit too corally now, so time for flip-flops. So we can already see the waves outside, and they look significantly more intense than whatever we're seeing inside the lagoon. I can tell you that much. End of the road?
So we looked at this and we thought it would be a little sandbar that ran out here, and we can see it. However, I'm guessing that the image we saw was at low tide.
I think it's still manageable.
We might just have to do a bit of wading.
That's all right.
Maybe quite deep wading. And I brought my phone with me, so I'd better hold that up.
Smart. I thought we were just going for a stroll along the beach, but I've already managed to turn this into a briny hike. It's off-road!
I don't understand. There's no mountains, there's no forests, and yet we still somehow end up in these situations.
Well, it's not quite the walk we were expecting, but I think we can make it, at least a bit further.
Remember that scene in Interstellar where he lands on the planet entirely made of water?
We're not leaving without her data.
What they don't show you is that to walk, you just have to kind of wade shuffle your flip-flops, otherwise they fall off or bury into the sand. But like, we're now about shin deep in the water and it stays at this level all the way out there. What's really cool is we've already seen at least one eagle ray, like a stingray, that's just playing around in the shallows because, you know, they're so flat, I guess they have some space to move up and down. But I wonder if this is more of a nursery for fish because it would make sense. It's super protected, it's probably quite warm. We'll keep our eyes open.
This water is like so shallow that it has just been warmed up really nicely by the sun. We could maybe like start some kind of posh resort and spa here. Have people come and bathe in the shallows of the South Pacific for rejuvenating fresh springs of seawater.
Have you peed in the sea? Be honest, it's on camera.
We weren't going to tell people. I'm always amazed when you see like plants growing in terrain like this. It's sort of completely exposed. Half the time you get big crashing waves coming over from the reef, so it's like submerged in seawater. It's super hot all of the time, but somehow you still got these plants around.
No,
Ian just said the very dangerous words of, oh, look over there, it looks like a pathway. We're taking it.
No.
Let's go. It's like a highway, this. Very well marked trail.
There's no trail.
Oh, I walked through a spider's web. Which way now?
We're lost.
No, this is great because we're trying to get to the outside of the reef and I can hear the big scary crashing waves over there. So every time we get to like a T-junction, like here, left or right, well, it's going to be right because it's like trying to find a waterfall.
We're on an island.
We're just going to be going around in circles all
It's
day.
always going to be in your right.
Ah!
We could see the waves. They were right there. Why did we leave the beach?
It was your idea.
Never leave
I'm
the
not
beach.
taking any blame for this whatsoever.
I have watched movies. You never leave the beach.
It's like a beautiful little home. We could live here forever. So I know I said that we wanted to turn right, but clearly the trampling elephants have made a path going this way. So we're going to have to follow it.
No.
It's the only way we could
Why
possibly
are we doing
go.
this?
Something went crashing this way.
So we've turned around because
Big,
we're lost.
massive, scary spider.
And lost, and then turning around. Where are we going now? What way home? Which way did you come? Can you see the route you took to get here?
I know exactly where we're going. Quite clearly, we came between these falling over palm trees and that little leafy thing on the ground.
Nope.
Did we not? I thought if I said it with confidence, it would come true.
Well, what does it say? 90% how you say it, 10% what you say?
So
The
now
10%
it's
was
going to be fine because we know that we're not walking toward the sound of the waves. So we've got absolutely zero thing that we're following.
Absolutely zero
And-
hope in the outcome of this situation.
Well, yeah, because somehow I'm in front again. How did that happen? We're going to end up in New Zealand at this rate. I don't recognise that tree. And now I've lost Ian. Maybe if I send up a flare? And I found him! Reunited at last.
I would like to apologise on behalf of my client for the slight detour and confusing footage that just happened. We're back to normal. We're going to carry on heading towards the ocean as planned and pre-marketed. And I think we can check the waves when we get there. It's not that far. It's just this way.
Are you all ready for a completely boring and uneventful hike now? See, they're not here for that content. All right, I'm lodging a formal complaint.
You all say I'm the one who gets us lost on these things. I am now being very, very good and following Ian. He has since turned a corner into a dead end and gone, oh, no, not this way. I then followed him and walked face first into a spider's web. Didn't do that when I was leading. And then you climbed over and under a tree. And now we're on the wrong side and we're still at the lagoon. We're basically back where we started.
No, we're not. We started over there by the boats. Plus, if you didn't film that little detour, it didn't happen. So no evidence. I shall retain my smugness.
Okay, all is forgiven. We have come round the corner and we can actually see the ocean again. So there is a little river that we need to walk up through and an island. Do you want to go like onto the island and round the other side and then
let's try
see what we see?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably where the animals live. You know, the dragons, the trolls.
Tigers!
The tigers.
I don't want to get too repetitive, but every time I look out to like the massive waves crashing on the outside of the reef and then spin around and see like this beautiful turquoise lagoon that looks so calm and tranquil, and they're like less than 100 meters apart. I just can't get my head around it. All there is in the way is like a shallow bit of sand and some coral, and that is enough to just dampen the conditions down and completely change the atmosphere of this place. Oh, cool, we've got some rapids.
Yeah, it's quite dramatic. It's also quite nice because the color changes suddenly. This is all corally, and then just over the rapids is all the sandy patch, so it's like it just transitions, very picturesque.
Yeah. That is a much faster current than I was expecting walking through the end of that. It looks like it would be really fun to kayak down the rapids, but maybe not quite enough water to do that, but I can dream.
So as you said, one of the main reasons we're doing this treacherous hike is because we have no idea really what's happening on the other side of the lagoon, in the open sea side of the lagoon. What we've found more recently, well, we've found over the last year or so, the weather systems that operate around this part of the world, they're usually predictable. Unfortunately, at the moment, or at least we're on the end of El Nino. So this year isn't supposed to be an El Nino year. Last year was. What it means is that all of the charts that we have and all the forecasts are usually pretty far out. So whenever we look at a prediction and it says you should expect 20 knots of wind, we can guarantee between 30 and 40 is more likely. But the forecast will never say that. And the same goes to the waves. We'll always get swell and fetch reported at like 1.50 meters, which is like 4.5 feet. And then we'll get out there and find 2-3 meters. So we figured with all the high wind, it's gonna be high waves, but we really don't know, which is why we're doing this. We just got our first sight of what the waves are actually looking like out here, and they're quite large. They're not like terrifyingly large, but they're definitely not, I think we should go sailing large.
Yeah, so these winds have been building up for like the last 4 or 5 days, and there is basically nothing out here to dampen down the waves and the swell. So it goes from kind of hundreds of meters deep up to basically zero, and the reef here is the first thing that is going to get in the way of them. So the swell has been building solidly for almost a week and now arrives here and looks quite dramatic.
It's a little bit windy. It's supposed to be like, well, they said 45 knots today, 40 knots today. I can't remember.
I think Ian was talking there, but I literally can't hear a thing. It is so windy!
It literally blew the tree down.
We're trying to walk out on these old rocks to get as close as we can to the waves. And every time you take a step, the wind just sort of blows you off balance. There's like loads of little rock pools around that we keep nearly falling in. Taking our life in our hands for you guys here. Hope you appreciate it.
We're doing what all good explorers do. You see the danger, you run towards it like a fool, and then you probably don't get the shot you want. Okay, I can confirm it is wavy. Very wavy. We're quite worried about getting cameras wet and things, so hopefully this works. We're using our waterproof camera in a case and recording the audio on the other camera, and we'll try and make it work. This camera, however, that you're watching on, it does not do distances very well. So I'm like really close right now, and I probably look quite far away. The waves that are coming in, these ones are quite small. That wave over there, pretty huge, like twice the size of an SUV, that kind of huge. Yeah, I don't want to go sailing in this.
So the problem with getting swell like this is that now that it's built up, it will be splashing so much seawater into the lagoon that when we go to try and go out the pass, there won't be incoming current for like probably another week now. There's so much water coming over the reef that it has to drain out of the passes back into the ocean. So there's only going to be outgoing tide, which means that for diving at the South Pass, where we want to head next, the visibility is not going to be so great. So we're going to time it right, hopefully, that we sort of wait for these conditions to die down, wait for all of the sea to leave, and then we're going to go and dive for sharks.
And the other issue is that if we start sailing in this, whilst we can take on conditions, Indy can handle that. The issue is that the period between the waves, so like from one peak of a wave to the next peak, or from one trough to the next trough, is so close together that we'd basically be in a horrible washing machine. And before the boat has a chance to roll down a wave, it gets hit by another one. So we could do it. We're not going to do it by choice.
Yeah, that's when things start to break and go wrong, and you really don't want to have to be out there unless you really need to be out there.
All right.
I may have been slightly more committed to the shot than I intended to be.
You slip in a puddle.
Woo! This is really working out for me. No chance, splashing! I got a bit too close and it grabbed me.
I'm sorry. All I can hear is Cousin It talking in Brownie's voice.
Successful videography.
Okay, the camera is now covered in salt water. The wind is picking up. The waves are definitely picking up. I think it is time we retreat to some sensible distance. We have lit the firework. We should retreat for our own safety.
Isn't it wild though that from here we can see the boats at anchor? Like we just turned around, it felt like it was quite a long walk to get here, but you turn around and we can see the edge of the boats that are just like tucked away in the safety of the lagoon.
That's how many boats are in the anchors. There's so many, they're exposed.
There's a couple anchored out here.
Exactly. Yeah, it's funny because as Brenny was saying, with all of these waves crashing into the lagoon over the reef, it creates this kind of false tide pattern. So if you look over here, all of this is running into the lagoon, and yet we've just gone past high tide, so the lagoon should be emptying out right now. But instead, all of this is flowing in, and it's just going to artificially lift the tide level in the lagoon, and it stops us getting those currents we need to go diving. So we're this is the equivalent of like a divers and sailors snow day at school. We're kind of just come up with something to do, and it's not like there's a shortage of things to do.
So it does feel a little bit like we're kind of stuck here and we can't leave, but to be honest, we're not that fussed about it because it's such a beautiful place to be stuck.
Stranded in a tropical island.
Yeah, what could be better? Our goal is to get over to the South Pass so that we can go and dive with all of these hundreds of millions of sharks that we'll definitely find there.
Definitely.
But as you saw, we want to wait for the swell to go down and we want to wait for the visibility to be really good. So it is coming very, very soon, and that is our absolute next goal. But we'll take a couple of days to enjoy this beach first, and then we'll make our way over. Yeah. That's vaguely the plan, as much as we have a plan anyway.
Is this something like an enforced holiday?
Ooh, I like that idea.